and prayer, with boundless faith in our destiny, we solemnly declare. Side by side we stand, islands of the blue Caribbean Sea, this our native land. We pledge our lives to thee. Here every creed and race find an equal place, and may God bless our nation. Here every creed and race find an equal place, and may God bless our
Heavenly Father, we come before you at the start of this new day, giving thanks for life, for health, and the opportunity to serve through this station. We ask for your divine presence to guide us in all we do. Bless this broadcast, that it may be a source of inspiration, joy, and unity to all who tune in. Whether near or far, may our words uplift, our music heal, and our message bring light to those who need it most. We pray for our listeners, wherever they may be. Grant them strength for the day ahead, peace in their hearts, and success in all they put their hands to. Cover those traveling with your protection, and those at home with your comfort and provision. Lord, may everything we do bring honor to you and be a blessing to others. Guide our steps, bless our efforts, and let this station be a vessel of positivity and hope. In your name we pray. Amen.
Your voice, your soundtrack, your station. New Era TT Radio. Net Radio.
I'm telling about the intelligent rain, I just end up in my red, white, and black. I don't care what nobody say. Every carnival I done there. Plus I know all artists and all the mass minds. Them say I'm a Danaba. I'm telling you where I'm from Trinidad and Tobago. As a Trini, Popo Trini, because they know what Trini does look. And they like how Trini does cook. And they like to hear Trini talk. And they like Trini woman walk. And we make good company. Yeah, and we make good company. And we make good company. We don't dictate all the place, but now we don't represent for we so fast. We don't sell out all the strong liquor. We don't represent for we so fast. Them say we mad and we bad. I'm telling you, where we from? We're from Trinidad and Tobago. As a Trini, Popo Trini. Oh, cause they love how Trini does look. And they like how Trini does cook. And they like to hear Trini talk. And they love Trini woman walks. And we make us company. and we make good company. And we make good company.
Wake up, rise up. It's the Net Radio Breakfast Show, bringing you the energy, music, and vibes to start your day right.
Well, good morning to everybody. And of course, wherever you may be, we are glad to have you this morning. It's a beautiful morning. It is the day that the Lord has made. I don't know about you, but trust me, I am so glad that I am part of it. So I want to thank him for bringing us together as always for another day. Yeah? So Charles, that's me. Of course, getting up early. It's good vibes, good energy. And of course, I want to take some time out right now to welcome you to the Net Radio Breakfast Show.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, 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 yeah. Wake up, it's a brand new dawn. The breakfast show got the vibes turned on. From Maracas Bay to the Savannah line. Let's start the day in Caribbean prime. Good vibes rolling through the air. The breakfast show energy everywhere. We talk, we laugh, we make you think. Grab your doubles or your morning drink.
Boom, 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 boom.
Good morning, good morning, good
Is that your
morning.
singing voice?
Vibes.
I want to alert people, right, that very soon we are going to have a singing competition for that tune, that opening jingle. So learn it. You're going to get something special. Rumbox is going to sponsor a prize for that jingle. So learn it. Right. I just telling, I warning all you from now, learn it.
Let me say good morning to our listeners. And well, let me say good morning, Wendell, and good morning, Sir Charles.
Morning, Richard.
And of course, good morning to the Breakfast Show crew. And that I know people are already in. People are in even before we start. So good morning to everybody on the stream. Of course, we're streaming across platforms on YouTube, Facebook, and of course, you can listen to the internet stream. We are also on TuneIn. So if you're looking for us on TuneIn, you can go to New Era TT Radio. New Era TT Radio. Of course, if you're American, you might say New Era TT Radio. So you can look for us on TuneIn. And so you can follow us on all of those platforms. And of course, you can comment on those platforms. And particularly YouTube, you can like, share, and subscribe. Our goal is to get to 100,000 subscribers. Believe it or not, we're way off that goal right now, but we'll get there. So
I'm sure we will.
So do what you need to do. But hope you're having a fantastic morning. It's Holy Thursday. It's a long weekend. I know some of you are probably going to head to Tobago. Some of you are saying, nah, I'm not going to that commerce and bacchanal because, you know, Tobago, we always say Tobago sinks a little bit for Easter. So much people are on the island. So I know flights are going to be booked today. And of course, the ferry crossings to get to Tobago for this long weekend. This glorious long weekend. The most important time on the Christian calendar is Easter.
Yeah,
So,
good.
you know, we celebrate everything on the Power Breakfast Show.
Morning,
Right.
morning, Sir Charles, and good morning, Richard. Good morning, Trinidad and Tobago, and good morning, listeners and viewers all over the globe. It's an absolutely beautiful morning. I was out early this morning, actually. You know, I actually got a good sleep. You know, I took my gummies and I went to sleep. You know, so we're happy to be in the land of the living.
I'm going to leave that alone, but go on. I said, John, we'll leave that alone.
Sometimes I need to fall asleep. I have to take these sleep gummies that calm me down.
All right.
Oh, I get you.
Okay.
No, it's actually, you know, it's actually sleeping pills in the form of a gummy. You understand? You know, so we're happy to be in the land of the living. My goodness, people logged on to the show at 4:21 a.m. You all are addicts. Anyway, but we're happy to have you.
Appreciate you.
I'll read the comments in a bit. Richard, where's Sir Charles's picture?
I was sending it there for Richard, okay?
what you're asking me, Sir Charles doesn't really want to show his picture, you know.
Why?
He is reluctant because he has the right to want to not to.
Who? A man who about 30, 40 years in the media? Frightened to show a picture?
No. I will send you pictures, Richard.
I take him a bullying posture, so I'm not sure. Not so sure why.
I don't know. Maybe it's because of our guest today.
I don't know what that means. There are plenty of things that we say this morning that I'm leaving.
What's that? Sorry?
I said plenty of things you say this morning, I'm leaving right there. I'm not engaging.
We have Gary Griffith in the second hour this morning. He will be our guest, the political leader of the NTA. Of course, today is Holy Thursday. Yes. So if you're in my area, I'm in Arima, and you have hot cross buns, freshly made hot cross buns.
Right, today's hot cross buns. Yeah, we don't have any in the house yet, but it is what it is. I suppose you could get sometime today. All little grocery shopping that I had to do yesterday, Easter weekend. I did yesterday. I said I ain't doing that today.
Grocery shopping. What name that?
Should I get into good news? Good news segment.
Yeah, well, let me go before you because my good news is actually
just if you have some discipline, you'll know that we do this first.
Oh. All right. My good news is actually to wish people happy birthday. And it's the birthday of Nicole Saunders. Happy birthday, Nicole. Happy birthday, Diane Portel, Stephanie Brown, Natalie Perez, who is a listener to our program. I think she's from Point Fortin, Natalie, if I'm not mistaken. Edison Fields and Gloria Reyes. They are all celebrating birthdays today, and I would like to wish you all, on behalf of the breakfast show, happy birthday. That is going to take a little while before it goes, but it will go. Trust me.
Yeah,
I'm going to shove it.
Was that a kiss? Was it a kiss you were saying? Was that a kiss? I remember this co-host from years ago who used to say, I want to send a big kiss. All the men duck. And then you make this strange sound on the radio that everybody's go like, what the hell is that?
I think I remember that.
Oh my God.
Don't receive this.
Who did it, Sir Charles?
Paul Pascal.
Yes, the slick and the wicked.
It was live at live.
Anyway, we're still in good news. So I wanted to celebrate Giannine DeBeek today. Of course, she is a soprano out of Trinidad and Tobago, and she is making waves in Europe and the US. And she's pretty much world famous at this point. Giannine DeBeek. In our good news segment, I wanted to celebrate Trinidadian and Tobagonian making waves across the planet.
She's the spirit of beauty, strong yet gentle being. She walks on this planet like some kind of queen. Big Merino she moves like the wind so free over land and rolling sea. Sweet Merino always with the rhythm in the feet, moving down the street. Morena Osha, Morena Osha.
My mother wrote me a calypso, and I won.
Can you sing it?
Oh my gosh. Okay. Because that takes a different vocal technique.
Okay.
Listen, little children, and listen well. Hear about Trinbago in which we dwell. Listen, little children, and listen well. Hear about Trinbago in which we dwell. Da 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 bam 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 da 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 dum da 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 dum dum. Let we build this country back, build this country back, build this country back, build this country back, and let we find some hope in the place, and we make it fit for the human race.
So,
Absolutely beautiful, Richard Raghuva Singh.
yeah, so that was a celebration of Janine DeBeek, world famous soprano outside of Trinidad and Tobago, out from Trinidad and Tobago, and we're celebrating her this morning as our good news in the breakfast show.
Yeah, and beautiful voice and a beautiful lady at that too.
I should have kept singing, you know.
Everything comes back to him, as it does. Everything comes back to him.
Oh, Lord, you sound like somebody I know.
Do you all know that calypso that she was singing?
Yes.
You all know that calypso that she was singing?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
I would have heard. I think I would have heard.
I don't know it.
You mean the clip? So she was singing the little piece when she was singing. No, she said that was something her mother wrote for her.
Oh, okay.
A
Okay.
school
Oh,
competition.
wow. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So she just wanted to. So she was just showing reference to her roots, I guess, because she also does one where she sings Siamanda. So she sings some of Andre Tanker's songs as part of her repertoire too. Right? So it's really wonderful to hear it in her soprano voice. So that was our good news segment for this morning. This Holy Thursday morning.
All right, let me just also express condolences to the Rodriguez family on the passing of Donald Ainsley Rodriguez. He is the founder and owner of, is it I St. Ainsley or E St. Ainsley? How would you pronounce it?
Eve St.
Ainsley.
Oh, he did. You mentioning it, I wasn't paying attention because I'm always doing stuff, and yeah, I know him. I mean, because I've shopped in Eve St. Ainsley. I mean, for many years.
Yeah,
I used to go in there, especially to get stuff sometimes for work, sometimes for stage.
yeah.
He was always very pleasant, and
I've been in there, but I don't know him at all.
They used to be in Long Circle Mall for years, but now they're on Long Circle Road.
Yes.
Yeah. But they used to be in the mall itself for years on one of the upper floors.
Yeah. So his funeral is actually today at the St. Mary's Roman Catholic Church in St. James. All right. So Donald Ainsley Rodriguez, may you rest in peace. Also, a good friend of mine who I played cricket with, Anthony Henry, he also passed away. He was suffering, he had cancer. And recently there was a fundraising effort to assist him. So Anthony Henry, I think he's from Tunapuna area. He passed away yesterday also too. So Jerry Dollaby, of course, kept us informed. He has a very vibrant windball cricket group on Facebook. So condolences to the Henry family on the passing of Anthony Henry. All right. Well, also, I don't know what happened at the Piaco airport last night, but it started to trend early this morning on my stream. There was a murder, I think, at the Piaco airport last night. Well, this morning? I don't know if you all saw that.
No, because when we get up, we have stuff to do. We didn't have time to stream on social media.
Well, I always go to social media to see what's happening, which is why I provided you with that video that Davadi called about yesterday.
You did. Do you want me to play it now before we get into the news?
Yeah, play it now. Play it now.
All right, because this was a video that was talked about yesterday.
This is a goldfish video?
Is that the one?
The one with it's Gary Aboud. When she called, I was thinking.
What I
Gary
love
Aboud,
in
the head of
TNT every day, a new bacchanal.
I also own a private company which I built from scratch. 30 years ago we started, and today it's a prominent contributor in many areas of national development. I'm not blowing any horns, but we all have a place here. Now, the UNC has gone down a road where its main spokesperson is spreading hate and wants to expel and close down all of the 1%. Now, this person never made any success of any business whatsoever. And with great respect to Kamala, I'm wondering, why would she want the UNC to hate and expel businesses? So Extra Foods should be shut down, Starlight Drugs, Starbucks, Venco, Mario's, Passad's the Food King. There are plenty people who are millionaires in Trinidad. And we have a place here, and we have a contribution to make. Now, if Kamala wants to divide the Africans and the Indians and spread hate amongst them and divide them even further than the demons that already have, then maybe she should be part of the labas and the dustbin and a cesspit. But don't take all the good people in the UNC and drag them down a road where they want to hate each other. Successful businesses have a contribution to make. We are citizens, we are patriots. I have no shame in my success. I have worked 12 hours a day for 40 flicking years. When other people were going to the beach and hanging out, I always think of a way to make it work. Now, Philip Alexander wants to hate me. He's a Syrian like myself. Because he didn't make a success of his life, he wants to destroy people that have worked 12 and 14 hours a day to make theirs. Is that what the UNC stands for? For a man that called the leader a drunk and a whore should now be waving a flag conveniently. Could you imagine Mr. Alexander as the Minister of Finance?
Well, that's some of that video. I wasn't sure how long it went again.
Not too long again. Because
yeah.
I mean,
but we got a sense of what he meant and what, he was, about what the video was about yesterday. So I mean,
now Gary Aboud is no supporter of the PNM. Eh? He has never been. He has been very critical of the PNM. But I keep saying that the UNC is running a campaign of hate and divisiveness, and I don't understand why. I just don't understand why. They have had a bigger following of the Afro-Trinidadians than they've ever had before. They now have that. Why are you still allowing people like Philip Alexander and certain others to be on your campaign platform? Why? Oh, for goodness sake, man. If you feel that the country is badly run and the PNM has done such a poor job, why are you bringing people who you're not going to do an even worse job? Why are you promoting those people? I just don't understand. And as Gary Aboud said, he don't know why Kamala Persad-Bissessar would be allowing that on her platform. When we already saw the credit, why are you bringing people to even divide us even more? I don't even know. I'm PNM. Nobody. I mean, I've stated that from day one. But I'm prepared for PNM. No, say PNM loses. But you have a lot of depressed people either way come April 29th, because of the amount of hate and divisiveness that's spreading in this country. That is what I want to see an end to. And Gary Aboud couldn't have said it. I'm no fan of Gary Aboud. But when I saw the video, I remembered what Ms. Dabidi had called about. But I was thinking Gregory Aboud from Doma. You understand? I wasn't thinking that Gary Aboud that is just Gary Aboud she was speaking about. So you heard it for yourself. Let me say good morning to our people who joined us very early. Suzanne Jessup joined us from 4:21 a.m. Good morning, Suzanne. She sent quite a few messages. Then Champion of Democracy, Child of God, blessed morning. That's at 4:28. Boy Bidesi came in again at 5:21. Melissa from Charflair. Ingrid from Tucson, Arizona. DL says, good morning all, and I'm going to read this. Gonna be a good interview today. This show really have me losing 2 hours in the morning listening when I could get chores and errands done. Keep up the great work. Marcia Rock says, good morning, gentlemen. Rena Buru Jennings, good morning. Stick Money Grip says, grand rising crew and guest also, hello. Miss Avi. DL is the winner of the jingle competition, getting an expensive Rumbox sponsored voucher. Yes, DL. Robert Taylor, you might get a ticket for a play performance too from Married and Mischievous.
Man. Well, that's coming up actually. Married and Mischievous is coming up in Cipriani College on the 3rd and 4th of May, just after the elections.
All right.
So some people will either need to celebrate or some people may need to perk up. We are catering to both.
True. Robert Taylor says, good morning, Miguel Gonzalez, Patricia Defoe, Cheryl Johnson. I think that's Ms. Digger Martin. CJ from New York. Steph says, good morning, guys. Sasha says, good uprising greetings from London. Alistair Hart from sunny San Fernando says good morning. Michael, I think Michael is also abroad too. I think he was a listener from either Antigua or somewhere there. He's locked on and listening. Ambrose Blah from New York says good morning. Michael says it's Holy Thursday. I'm touching this thing by accident sometimes, guys, sorry. After 3 this morning, it seems. Okay, that's probably on the death of Eve St. Ainsley. Ron DeSantis Jr. says good morning. Richard Jeremiah, he is also part of this show, part of this network. And Wayne Ramsey, Julia Batiste says good morning.
So good morning to our listeners and viewers wherever you are across the planet. I know some of you just watch without actually clicking in. And some of you don't comment at all, you just watch. Wherever you watch it from, your television, your laptop, your phone, wherever it is. Welcome to the breakfast show on this Holy Thursday morning. And of course, I should get into the news headlines on the 3 daily newspapers. I'll give you a sense of what's trending in Trinidad and Tobago.
So just to get in there, Richard, let me just say also to the folks out there at GNC Auto Security, they are always here very early also. To Colin down there in Caranage, probably on his way to work right now. Good morning to you. And a lady by the name of Joanne. Good morning to you also, all of them.
And good morning also to Owen Johnson. He is also locked on, watching us, I guess.
All right, so I'll get into the
news. And Corey Pascal. Morning, Corey Pascal. How are you?
Can I get into the news headlines now?
I had to greet my boss sometimes, you know.
Okay. All right, so our news headlines this morning, and of course, this is not good news. So the main story on the front page, and I'm starting with the Daily Express, and just in case you needed to know the date, it's Thursday, April 17th, 2025. And the main headline, teen footballer shot dead. This is a tragic story that took place in Lalketa. And of course, you would have heard about this story yesterday. Yesterday, it was all over social media and people commenting on it. So he's been shot dead. Grieving father, I've lost part of myself. His name is Ezekiel Ramdal Singh. And there is a picture of him on the front page of an absolutely tragic story. And I mean, just makes you mad that we still having murders. And this is kind of random. He was just visiting somebody. So he was in the wrong place at the wrong time. Wow. And this started to happen. And he was running away from it. And he got shot in the back. And he's an aspiring and very talented young footballer. So it's a very sad story. So that's the main. as the main story today. Fresh from the oven, there's a picture of a young lady holding up hot cross buns.
Is she in Arima?
No, she's at the Pumpernickel Bakery on Coffee Street, San Fernando. So you can check her out.
Down south.
And PNM launches manifesto. Less stress for pensions is the subheadline. And on the back page, Housing Minister tours completed Edinburgh Tower tenants by next week. I don't know why they didn't do both towers simultaneously, but thank you for finishing and finally completing those towers. I don't know if both have been finished. I think it's one.
They're over 20 years they've been building.
Yeah, they've been eyesores because they already went into a state of dilapidation.
Yes.
And it was something we have discussed repeatedly on this morning show.
Yes.
And they've finally done something about it. And people needing housing and seeing infrastructure being built and then fall into disrepair is just, ridiculous and unimaginable. So thank you for at least completing this. And you have Minister Adrian Leons, as he looks on at Housing Development Corporation Managing Director Jason McFarlane, as I guess they're touring and stuff like that. Over 450 small businesses owners get $8 million in grants, and around this time you get plenty things and plenty projects being
roads paved, bridges built, buildings
being
opened, grants, back pay, front pay.
So pat on the back to any questions, penalties for ball tampering, Pierre and Haynes named to ICC Cricket Committee. That's some of the sports news in the Daily Express. Moving on to the Newsday this morning. The front page of the Newsday. Gunmen strike after political meeting. Gifted footballer shot dead. Same story that we just talked about. Dowlath opposes 2 HDC projects in Sando West. The business magazine is about global Trinidad and Tobago. And the main picture is man heckles, well, this is another headline, man heckles PNM speakers at Digger Martin rally. And there's a picture of Hans Beans as he walks with supporters in the Digger Martin Central Secondary School for the party's political meeting on April 16th, which was yesterday. And on the back page of the Newsday, TT 800-meter runner eyes gold in final, Carifta, bronze not good enough. And East Border Spain shows TT youth netballers love. Moving on to the third of the 3 daily newspapers, the Trinidad and Tobago Guardian for this morning. What headline did they go with? I'm about to tell you. No empty promises. PNM unveils election manifesto with crime, economy among 6 priority areas. And of course, Dr. Keith Rowley was there present yesterday at that media launch of their manifesto, to which the breakfast show was invited, I must state. But we couldn't make it.
So we couldn't send a correspondent to Charles?
You were the correspondent to send, but you were doing something. But we got the manifesto anyway. I actually went through the manifesto last night. I'm just going through it, reading it briskly. You're
gonna go through it? You're gonna go through it? Just stick a pin right there. I completely missed one message and I got buffet. Well, not buffet. She doesn't buff. She's such a darling. Good morning, all. Carol Guevara, and please wish my son Trevor Guevara Jr. a happy birthday today. So happy birthday, Trevor Guevara Jr. Well, boy, you have a gem of a mom. I hope that you get lots of gifts. I'm sure he's an adult though, But happy birthday, Trevor Guevara Jr. from your mom, Carol Guevara, one of our number 1 fans. I had to say one of our, because we have plenty.
So, all right. So, that's good. And happy birthday, And of course, so that's the main story is no empty promises. UNC promises to expand cannabis industry in so-called manifesto. Teen footballer gunned down in Lalketa. And that's it. And on the back page of the Trinidad and Tobago Guardian, aquatics boss for TNT Carifta. And that's it for our 3 dailies this morning. So, of course, one of the main things yesterday was the PNM's manifesto. And, of course, we could touch on it just before we take some of your calls and get a little interactive with you. So I did go through some of it, and here are some of my thoughts on it. Well, manifestos are, I suppose that's the promise. It's promises, some of which never come to pass, but it's nice to read, and it's nice to it's nice to hope in the vision that they paint you, because it's a vision they're painting you.
Yeah.
And it's a manifesto that takes you up to 2030. Now, I don't want listeners and viewers to lose sight of the fact that 2030 is the marked year according to the PNM's plan. Remember, it was Vision 2020?
Yes.
And we're so bad at implementation. It's also it's almost farcical. So there was a Vision 2020, and we never achieved it. So we push it back by 10 years to Vision 2030.
Yes. It's 5 years away.
Yeah. So we are 5 years away. So it will be in this term.
Yes.
Well, whoever wins now, I don't know that the UNC, if they were to win, had a timeline to 2032. I'm not sure, even though I think there has been some bipartisan committees dealing with this issue. But let me not go down that road. I don't know. I said I don't know.
It started off as bipartisan.
Well, Vision 2020 was certainly across all political and social economic lines.
Yes.
But anyway, we are now 2030. This manifesto, I don't know if the intent is to get Trinidad and Tobago to develop country status at that point, because that's the marked point. At 2030, we should be considered developed country, even though we already consider that by certain markers in the in certain economic groupings. But to officially be called a developed country, that's what they want to do by 2030. Anyway, so some of the positives of it, of course, it does have they did it in priorities, certain priority areas. So the manifesto is organized around 6 clear national priorities. So it creates a kind of cohesive framework for development, at least as stated in that manifesto. There's a strong emphasis on how different priorities connect and reinforce each other. So there was a lot of overlapping, if you wanted to say that, which I assume they meant it to be synergistic in terms of looking at the whole. So it's like a systems thinking approach, I think is how they approached it. So it's very, obviously it's very logical and it's formatted. It just didn't tell you these are the goodies we are going to do. It tried to frame it with graphs and stuff. So it tried to do it in a logical manner and laying out the manifesto for you, which was unusual.
You're doing a wonderful job of analyzing it. Go ahead.
Which was unusual because they don't usually do it like that, at least as far as I know. There was of course, they mentioned the creation of the Ministry of Implementation and Efficiency, which of course, execution and implementation and not just planning is crucial. We know we have an implementation problem. We discussed that with Dr. Rowley when he was in the tea room when we had that previous show, and I brought that up with him in the tea room, that issue of implementation and how bad we are at it. So there's a recognition, at least, that they're hopeful that Doge kind of copycat, it seems, the Ministry of Implementation and Efficiency will achieve and look at the implementation of a lot of what they're saying in the manifesto. I assume, I don't know. Digital transformation, a lot of that was mentioned, but you know we're in the middle of the 4th industrial revolution with regard to the information age and digital technology and innovation. And so you can't have a manifesto and not reference that. And we can talk to Gary Griffith about that, because I think his party also has some plans in that area. So digital transformation, climate resilience, they talked about climate resilience, and community-based approach. Many initiatives focused on empowering communities and decentralizing services through technology. So that explains the kind of overlapping. So I hope you're all following me so far. What are some of the limitations? Because I was looking at it and saying, well, if you had to critique, what were some of the things that you would want to see? Well, the manifesto outlines numerous ambitious initiatives without a detailed discussion of budgeting or funding mechanisms. So just like how the UNC has been criticized about how you're paying for that, how you're paying for X, Y, and Z, the manifesto was kind of soft on how you're going to finance all of this from a resource point of view. The implementation challenges, we know we always have those. While creating an implementation ministry is promising, you know that we have deeply established systems and you have institutional resistance in Trinidad. Trust me, we have it. We have institutional resistance, and we have some of the people there who resistant to change. So all of those are some of the things that they're probably going to have to deal with. There's mention of a performance tracking and specific metrics in which to judge and to make sure you're achieving your goals, which was good to see. And so that will help sustain the plan. With so many initiatives proposed, it's not always clear which ones are highest priority if resource constraints arise. So if you have limited resources, because you have several priorities, which ones are you going to prioritize of those priorities if you have resource constraints? So that wasn't clear, because you have 6 priorities, but sometimes when you have resource constraints, you have to prioritize which one you think is more important.
I don't think you'll ever get a manifesto, Richard, emphasizing that if this happens, no manifesto will ever say in the event of or in case of or if.
Well, I just given my analysis of how I saw it.
No problem.
And some initiatives are presented as new, but they ain't really new. They just change up the words to make it sound fancy. As if it's new, but it ain't really new.
Give me an example. Give me an example.
You know that game, Wendell.
Give me an example.
A perfect example is pensions. Automatic processing of pensions. That whole issue of pensions was that 3 budget ago statement that Commonwealth made. And that you'll be able to get your pensions by the next day after you retire. What the old people do, tell me, Wendell, you're older. So there it was, but it was stated in a fancy way. It was stated in a fancy way to make it sound, woo! Yeah, but it's, So I mean, I thought it was, thoughtful, ambitious. Obviously, it's a plan for the 2030 marker, in my opinion. I might be wrong, but that's a summary of it. But before my one last point I wanted to make on the manifesto, because I always zone in on culture and what are they talking about in terms of culture and the creative arts industry or the creative industry. One of the plans is to establish an Arts and Cultural Innovation Council, ACIC. I suppose they're trying to mimic St. Mary's College, which is a bastion of excellence in education in Trinidad and Tobago.
Is that where the Prime Minister had his issues too?
So they put an A before CIC if you want to cut it short. So it's ACIC. So that's that Arts Council, and it's going to serve as a coordinating entity for creative professionals, entrepreneurs, and cultural practitioners. It's going to guide policy development, I'm just quoting, and financing to empower creatives, include a dedicated Tobago-focused subcommittee to address the island's unique cultural context. They talked about economic transformation, and they talked about using the creative industries as one of the diversification planks in a more intentional way than has been done before, in my opinion. I'm subject to correction.
So wait, Richard. After April 29, then you may not be on this show anymore. You might be heading that ministry or that organization. Because I'm sure they're going to be coming for people like you.
I don't know what you're talking about. There's going to be an increased budget. So people in the creative industry, there's going to be an increased budgetary allocation to culture and the arts. But they state that as a sentence, but you have all sorts of loopholes to jump through to access anything from the state now. So you have to have all kinds of papers and submit this and submit to make sure you exist. All sorts of loopholes and all sorts of things that things that you have to jump through to get anything. So,
sometimes, Richard, I feel when I look at with trying to access certain things through governments and grants and that sort of thing, I feel they have all kinds of things that they put there to dissuade people to make it get frustrated and just turn it back and go,
Well, my opinion on those is well documented, and how easy and not so easy it is for citizens of this country to access what they need because they're so busy trying to prevent fraud. Development of intellectual property and licensing frameworks to protect artists. Tax incentives are up to $3 million for high impact creative projects. Fancy words, but that's probably film.
Well, guys,
and
before we get lost in anything, let's invite our callers, because in the next hour you may not be able to talk too much.
we're going to invite callers for the next hour too. But let me just wrap up. But they can start calling, and let me put up the banner with the thing so they will know what numbers to call. But I'm just going. You're trying to tell me I'm talking too much.
Yes.
Okay.
No,
I want to ask me about the manifesto, so I'm giving you my opinion.
I don't want nobody to call and
Yeah. So integration of cultural industries into the broader economic diversification strategy, which is what I talked about. And well, they talk about infrastructure for culture and of course community and heritage. They want to bring in a new NLCB game for heritage to deal with.
Oh Lord,
yeah, the preservation of cultural sites, a game where the money that is made from that game will go towards cultural sites. So that's a kind of synopsis of some of the things I saw in the PNM manifesto and what I thought about it, and that's it.
Well done. Long, lengthy discourse, but well worth it.
2811315. You can get in on the show. You have your comments, So let's hear from you this morning. Good morning to you, caller. Welcome.
And he's going to be followed by somebody who also calls and talks long too, right?
Well, I think I have you disengaged.
So you didn't want me to do the manifesto or what?
Yeah. No, I enjoyed it.
Henry on the chat said, and she is so correct about, and you all mentioned it. You see this class warfare thing that this woman, Kamala, is doing? It is straight out of the Democrat Party playbook. Gaslighting on emotion-based class and race warfare. Did you all catch where the other day she used that C word, which is just as bad as the N word, where our ancestors of both indentured servants and slaves, we've worked hard to move away from such the derogatory term, the N word and the C word, and she used that, okay? And it's just gaslighting.
Yes, she did.
As far as I'm concerned.
Okay.
What's that?
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't hear that at all.
Right, thank you, caller. Yeah, it wasn't. If you listen to the net news, you would have heard it.
Oh no, I didn't hear it. Sorry.
She was
well, it was mentioned in the net news, and I was like, what?
Yeah, she was
said.
Yeah, she was referencing herself as to how people.
Oh well,
looked at her before
she referenced herself that way.
Yeah, she said I was just this little girl that knew one nobody knew. Yeah.
Oh goodness.
Anyway, we're taking your calls. So 281-1315 before we get to our morning pool. And you can think about what the morning pool could be. So 281-1315. That's the number. You can WhatsApp call us, or you can direct call us too, I guess. 281-1315. Of course, if you're outside of Trinidad and Tobago, you're going to have to use the 868 code, and you should know that by now. And we'll take some of your calls as we head towards our morning pool. Of course, it is Holy Thursday, but this is your point to be interactive with us before we get to our morning pool, where you can also get interactive.
Yeah.
Well, I'm tempted to ask about.
We have a caller on the line, Steve.
Hello. Good morning.
Good morning, guys. How are you all?
Morning.
We are great.
We are good, Miss Sampson.
Okay. Concerning what you were speaking about the grand visit, when I got denied from the insurance, I tried to get a grant. Now, it took me 10 years to build my house. The Lord, myself, and the bank. No man, no cousin, no nobody.
So was the Lord a man?
Huh?
Nothing.
Go ahead, Miss Sampson. No?
Yes, when I have been free, single, and disengaged all my life. I try once, I get one daughter. 10 years after, I try twice, I get the next one, and I close up shop. Anyhow.
TMI. No, you're giving up other information, Ms. Sampson, but go ahead.
So you were saying, go ahead.
In charge of the grant, Mr. Gary Romain going to call me and tell me, Ms. Sampson, you don't need no help. You have a big house up on the hill. Fine, you have insurance and not deny the claim. But Wendell, you know what is my last thing? you know, they canceled my insurance because of the foundation the other day. I had to get $73,000 of paying two loans to put up the wall that they refused to pay me for. So I am with an insurance that denied me 3 claims. And on top of that, they vexed because I complaining. So and deny me, they cancel the insurance.
Wow.
Well, people know how I feel and how this breakfast show feel about
Thank you very much,
insurance.
Mr. Hampson.
We are one with insurance and how we feel about it. I wouldn't say what. So I'm tempted to ask the poll about what Kamla Prasadbi says, how she referred to herself, but I'll stay away from there. We'll talk about manifestos. We're gonna do
a talk about manifestos. Well, a possible. Do we have another call, Sir Charles?
Yes, it went off with Miss Sampson. It may come back just now.
All right. So I mean, what I would you're talking about, I don't know if this might be an option for you, Wendell.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. So we're thinking along the same lines.
Yeah.
I don't know why you put that ES there though. What kind of toes is that?
It doesn't have an ES?
No. It's just S.
Are you sure? I mean, I'm not sure.
You can just look at it and see it wrong, Richard. But let me just read a couple comments. But before we get into our poll, we had Lester Cragwell saying, "Good morning, guys. Why are you all not discussing the ridiculous price for crossbuns?" Well, when I want crossbuns, I could care less what it costs. Yes. Lester Cragwell says, "Good morning, guys. We have too many people in this country pretending unity in public life, but holding contempt for others in their private lives." You are absolutely correct, Lester. Doreen Pierce says, "Good morning." Bumati says, "Good morning." Ron DeSantis Jr., of course, says, "Please open the phone lines early so the voters can talk to Captain Griffith early after his interview." Well, we'll actually open it during his interview. Alistair Hart, Steph, okay. Jaron Joseph says, "Good morning. Nice to hear you on this Holy Thursday." But I didn't hear Kamla Prasadbi. I didn't hear that, I would certainly not have missed that. And Ray says, "Good morning, guys." And Boy Bidesi. All right, people voting already. All right. So when you're ready for the poll, Richard, take it away.
Yeah, I think you might as well do it.
But anyway.
Because like some people still sleeping this morning.
No, they
turned off my mic. Sorry, I turned off my mic because I was listening to a message from Gary. So I have some stuff to do with some Gary. So you may not have to record the votes, Bendel. Do manifestos motivate how you vote? That's our poll this morning. Do manifestos motivate how you vote? Of course, you can vote via the comment section on Facebook and YouTube. Just put your vote there and we'll get it. And of course, you can also vote via WhatsApp. You can WhatsApp us at 2811315, and you can also call us at 2811315. Do manifestos motivate how you vote? Because of course the PNM released their manifesto yesterday, which we went through this morning a little bit. We touched on it this morning, so you got a sense of what it is about. So does it motivate how you vote? Yes or no? That's our poll this morning.
All right, and we have some results already. Boy Bidesi says yes. Miguel Gonzalez says yes. Slick Money Grip says yes. DL says no. Not anymore. Ambrose Blah says yes. I'm actually reading this thing and scoring too, right? Alistair Hart says no. Steph says no, they are generally unreliable and deceptive. So that's what I have so far. So Charles, you have any?
Yeah, I have a couple of them. And Nikisha says no, because she don't believe in them anyhow. Sean Ram says no, and Pauline says yes.
All right.
Two no's and a yes in between.
All right. I have Lester Cragwell also saying no. All right. So
vote. on the poll. I mean,
Yes. Or you can call in or WhatsApp us at 281-1315. We are taking your votes. Our poll this morning: do manifestos motivate how you vote? All right, that's our question this morning. Ron DeSantis Jr. says no. Far Rockaway says no. Champion of Democracy says no. Suzanne Jessup says no. Carl Guevara says no. Lincoln says no. Julia Esbeti says no. So that's what we have as votes.
All right, and we have a caller online. Caller, good morning. What say you? How do you vote?
Good morning, no.
All right.
So San Fernando on the Hill says no.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Sexy Rez says yes.
Yes. All right.
Jesse looks out for the manifestos all the time.
It's Sexy Rez your name, you know.
Yeah.
It's trouble.
Johnson Noel says yes also. All right. Caller online. Caller, good morning. What say you?
Morning, Sir Charles. Morning, Richard. Morning, Wendell.
Morning, Dabity.
Morning.
My answer is definitely no. As Richard, I'm not Richard Wendell. I have hot cause funds, not just hot cause funds. Hot cause funds.
Okay.
You know that.
Well, I'll find my way in Dabity today then. I know you tell me where you're living, you know. I just had to remember.
Easy to find. Very hot cause funds. The best.
All right. I will take you up on that offer today.
Okay.
All right.
Right.
So we have some more votes. Marlon Motley says no. Wayne Ramsey says no. Rena Buru Jennings says no. Finbar Collins says, I am a professional who looks forward to wear party. Okay. Yes, he says yes. Island Girl says yes. Ingrid from Tucson, Arizona says absolutely no. All right.
Right. So our poll this morning: do manifestos motivate how you vote? That's our poll this morning. And so some people may wait for the manifestos and decide that this is how I'm going to vote. So do manifestos motivate how you vote? So call us at 281-1315 via WhatsApp or direct if you want, 281-1315. Of course, you can also vote via the comment sections on the various platforms on YouTube and on Facebook. You can vote via just sending your vote via the comment section, yay or nay, yes or no. So that's it. Vote.
All right.
Norris Ferguson is coming across us and happy to be here. Chab, I think it is. Chab is saying no, a short no.
Did Norris vote?
No.
Norris, wake up now, man. You're right around the corner from me. Go on, vote now, man.
Right. Good morning, caller.
Morning, Sir Charles. Morning, Richard and Wendell.
Good morning.
Manifestos do not influence me in any way whatsoever. The two major parties here have a record. I work on that.
Hold up a second. Is that Mr. Pinal?
Of course, Mr. Pinal.
Good morning, Wendell. How are you?
Good morning. So long there. I almost didn't recognize your voice.
You guys.
All right.
Yes.
Yeah.
I've been calling Sir Charles a bit since he started up. So
okay.
I'm glad you guys are on board.
All right.
Thank you very much, Mr.
Thank you,
Pinal. Yeah. Mr. Pinal also says no.
Richard, you pull out real people out the woodworks there,
Kenwin says yes.
All right.
And Norris Ferguson just says Monday the 28th. I don't know what Norris, what it means by that. Is that when you're going to that's when you put in your vote?
Yeah, that's when you're going to vote.
Yes. All right, and we have and Anand is also on today. We missed Anand yesterday, you know.
Hey, Alan, good morning, Mr. Ram Logan, Senior Counsel.
Anand is on today. Anand says no, people are not tied with manifesto again. They don't believe them. Oh my word.
Well, I mean, Trinbago Collins made a point, and I guess there are people, just like how Richard would have analyzed that manifesto and read it as a professional. He says, I am a professional who looks forward to where a party is trying to take our country. So, yes.
Right.
You know?
Caller online. Caller, good morning as we come to news.
Yes. Morning, gentlemen. Yes, well, let me the poll is low. By the end of the day, we have to see what results.
All
They
right.
could make promises and they just don't keep it.
All right. Susan says
They
no.
never materialize.
Yeah.
All right. Promises never materialize under no circumstances. Well, boy, Tony.
I want to play this song for you.
If all they feel is politics go kill me and make me hate people, they lie.
Oh my word. All right, so let's go up to the news now. See that we there, we'll come back and take whatever calls that we have coming through. Any last minute voters, you can continue to vote, and we will join you inside the next hour. Richard is busy organizing some things with Mr. Griffith, right?
Yeah. Sure.
Okay.
In the news now. The People's National Movement, PNM, has launched its election manifesto entitled A Bold New Chapter, Transforming Governance for a Stronger, Safer, and More Prosperous Trinidad and Tobago. The manifesto was launched Wednesday afternoon during a media conference at Balasier House and hosted by Prime Minister Stuart Young and PNM political leader and former Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley. The document opens with a quote from Young. We are boldly transforming how our country is governed to make it safer and easier for everyone to succeed. We are strengthening opportunities to learn, to earn, and to play a meaningful role in shaping the future we all deserve. We are supporting a renewed, future-ready nation with a resilient and diversified economy, more connected and empowered communities, and a modern, citizen-centered government that delivers lasting benefits for all. Together, we will move Trinidad and Tobago forward, stronger for this generation and the ones yet to come. The first two sections in the table of contents are entitled A Strong Unified Nation and Our National Transformation Model. This is followed by 6 priority areas. The 6 priority areas are followed by the section Tobago in Focus. The United National Congress, UNC, is calling for the immediate removal of another Elections and Boundaries Commission, EBC, returning officer, this time from the San Fernando East constituency. The party is accusing the returning officer of misconduct while sorting ballot boxes containing votes from special electors in the constituency on Monday. UNC San Fernando East campaign manager Wendy Lewis, who attended the exercise, claimed the EBC officer acted irregularly by asking those present to sign a blank piece of paper instead of the required A45 form before sealing the ballot box. She said at the end of the exercise, he also did not seal the box in the presence of all the agents. She alleged the officer explained his actions by saying he was flustered. She also claimed he called her 2 hours after the process was completed, asking her to return so he could seal the box in her presence. However, by her account, the People's National Movement's, PNM, witness left before the ballots were even counted. The UNC is also accusing the officer of only informing the PNM of the opening of the ballot boxes on Saturday, leaving Lewis and the Patriotic Front, PF, in the dark. However, PF leader Michaela Ponde did not respond to calls yesterday. The UNC is now calling for the entire process to be redone, saying the special voters exercise is tainted. Former PNM Vice Chairman Robert Luhunt says it is possible people could expect more changes on the political landscape before the April 28th general election. Luhunt made this comment in reference to former UNC member attorney Larry Lala, SC, joining the PNM, and former PNM Attorney General John Jeremy, endorsing UNC leader Kamla Persad-Bissessar. In a statement on April 16th, Luhunt said people have consistently asserted their constitutional right to choose which political party they support. The recent celebration among PNM members following the defection of high-ranking UNC officials, such as Mr. Lala, underscores our unwavering commitment to individual choice. Luhunt said in examining such political transitions, "It's easy to understand UNC officials coming over to the PNM as PNM being the party in government." But he added it is also interesting to see PNM members, particularly those who served in a PNM cabinet, leaving their party while in government to support an opposition party openly. Jeremy endorsed Persad-Bissessar at a UNC meeting in Penal on April 14th. Another former PNM government minister, Kennedy Swaritzing, endorsed her at a UNC town hall meeting last month. A 17-year-old boy was gunned down in La Horquetta on Tuesday night, shortly after returning from a political meeting. The deceased has been identified as Ezekiel Ramdiel Singh of Sylvia Hunt Avenue, Phase 4, La Horquetta. According to a police report, officers at the La Horquetta police station were told of explosions along Oscar Pyle Crescent in Phase 4. Officers found a crowd gathered at the scene. They learned that Ezekiel had already been rushed to the Arima Hospital. Investigators recovered 14 spent 9mm shell casings from the scene. Police were told that Ramdiel Singh had been liming with a group of friends outside a home after attending a political meeting nearby. Multiple gunshots rang out, and moments later he was found bleeding from the chest. A friend transported him to the hospital, but the teenager could not be saved. Investigators recovered 14 spent 9mm shell casings from the scene. 2 vehicles parked nearby were also hit by bullets. Police are claiming that the shooting was gang-related. Family and friends of Ramdiel Singh said he was not the target, and he had nothing to do with any gang. A 45-year-old woman was raped and robbed while on her way to work on Monday. According to a police report, the victim arrived at the Sangre Grande police station and reported that around 5 a.m. she was walking along George Street, Sangre Grande, heading to work. Upon reaching the vicinity of Holmes' restaurant, she saw a man, approximately 5 feet 5 inches tall, dressed in a white jersey, white/gray three-quarter pants, and dark-colored hat, who approached her and began assaulting her. The suspect then dragged her against her will approximately 20 feet onto Oxford Street, Sangre Grande, in a bushy area under a mango tree, and began assaulting her further. He then raped her. The suspect then placed his hands in her right pants pocket and relieved her of $30. He then fled the scene in an unknown direction, making good his escape. Police accompanied the victim to the Sangre Grande Enhanced Health Center to seek medical attention, and she was medically examined by a DMO. Police canvassed the area for CCTV cameras, and several were observed in the vicinity. Further attempts are to be made to retrieve relevant footage, police added. The Steel Band Champions Prize distribution ceremony turned political as Trinbago President Beverly Ramsey-Moore pledged her support to Prime Minister Stuart Young, and Minister of Tourism, Culture and the Arts Randall Mitchell encouraged members to support the government that did much for the steel pan movement. Speaking at the event at Radisson Hotel, Port of Spain on April 15th, Ramsey-Moore thanked Young, whose father, she said, paved the way for him as a pan jumbie. She said when Richard Young was managing director of Scotiabank, he and Keith Simpson, Scotiabank's former manager of retail and small business and former president of Trinbago, ensured unsponsored bands received a grant every year. Your father was there for over 65 steel bands every year. And so he sowed the seeds so that today you could reap the benefits of the steel band community by supporting you in the fight, the general election. She said Trinbago paid attention to which leaders in society support it, and they saw him. She said because of that, Trinbago knows he was a leader who was on the ground and who was concerned about the grassroots young people. Ramsey-Moore also expressed gratitude to former PM Dr. Keith Rowley and all he did for the steel pan movement over the past 2 years, such as encouraging the organization to revive the National Steel Band Music Festival after an 11-year hiatus, putting pan on the coat of arms, getting it formally declared the country's national instrument, and encouraging the United Nations to declare August 11th World Steel Pan Day. And that's news at this time.
That was news now. Stay informed with New Era TT Radio.
Your mid-morning just got better. Join Sir Charles for the mid-morning mix and mingle, where good music, real talk, health, and family matters come together, and your voice is heard. Whether you're at work, on the go, or just taking a break, this is the perfect mix to keep you engaged, informed, and entertained. The mid-morning mix and mingle, weekdays, 9 a.m. to 12 noon on New Era TT Radio, Net Radio.
Men, women, tired of the invasive, painful old methods of testing prostate and breasts?
The Institute of Health and Fitness Clinic and Wellness Center offers comprehensive and non-invasive diagnostic testing, which indicates the nature and extent of diseases and tests your nutritional levels. Our quick testing can identify early signs of problems by evaluating many of the bodily functions, such as male and female sexual function, gastrointestinal function, liver function, kidney function, thyroid function, heart and brain function, and also cancer testing. Results are comparable with other medical lab tests without the use of needles or embarrassing specimen cups, and is pain-free. We also offer all natural treatments. Visit us now at number 79 St. Vincent Street, Tunapuna, or call 492-7397 or 289-6363.
Wake up with the Net Radio Breakfast Show. Rise and shine with Wendell Stevens and Richard Raghubarsing, weekdays from 6 o'clock to 9 a.m. Start your day feeling good, energized, and informed as we tackle the biggest issues of the day, get you where you need to be on time, and keep you in the know about everything that matters. With elections coming up on April 28th, we bring you insightful discussions, expert analysis, and the latest updates so you're always ahead of the curve. Mornings matter. Your voice matters. And it all starts right here on New Era TT Radio, Net Radio. The Net Radio Breakfast Show, weekdays 6 to 9 a.m. Wake up informed and stay ahead.
Hot like steel and iron. Yeah, yeah. If you want your session mash up tonight, tell them call me. And if you want your party swinging all night, tell them call me. If you want to see all hands up in the air, tell them call me. Misbehaving all night like we don't care, tell them call me. Every year I'm hearing people complain, time to bring the vibe back to party. From the fed to the road on Carnival Day, up down to downtown, it don't matter where. Well, if you want your pet mash up, fine, call me. With everybody having a time.
I will get the girl to wine on the tweeter. You will get the girl to wine on the bass. I will get the girl to jump on the speaker. You will get the crowd to mash up the place. I will get the crowd to pick up momentum, and you will get the crowd to pick up the pace. I will get the crowd to get in a section and place.
If you want your session mash up tonight, tell them call me. And if you want your party swinging all night, tell them call me. If you want the all hands up in the air, tell them call me. Misbehaving all night like we don't care, tell them. So tell Amnesia, West and Mocha, hey, what's up? That's the fire, insomnia, all over, uptown and downtown, tell them around town.
Tell them call me and call me now. I like a runaway train, so just call me now. Listen up, buddy, yeah, the people are ball me now. Go try trim me and call me now. Hey, call quick and call quick. The crowd ready to please and me nasty. Make you booking in paper or plastic and don't stretch me out.
This song is a kind of something to keep you whining, keep the crowd them jumping and hands up they waving. See all night we betting from night till morning. Tell the man and all the women start whining. If you want your session mash up tonight, tell them all day. And if you want your party swinging all night, tell them all day. All hands in the air, we're from left to right, tell them all day. Yeah, Lions and Bunchy got it doing it right, tell them all day. Tell Amnesia, and the Boca, uptown the Wassa, uptown is fire. Tell them all over, Central and over. Let's party everybody, point forth in a river.
mash up the place. I will get the crowd just to pick up momentum, and you will get the crowd just to pick up the pace. I will get the crowd just to get in a section and place.
If you want this session mash up tonight, tell them come.
Wake up, rise up. It's the Net Radio Breakfast Show. Bringing you the energy, music, and vibes to start your day right.
Well, definitely we got the energy, we got the vibes, and of course we're gonna make sure your day not just starts right, but continues to go very, very right. All right. So we are inside our number 2, and of course this is your breakfast show.
All right, we are back live after the 7 o'clock news. And of course, this is the NETT Breakfast Show with Richard Ragobarsing, Sir Charles Davis, and Wendell Stephen, yours truly. All right, we are happy to have so many of you logged on to our show. And please like, subscribe, and share. Richard, you want to run that little jingle thing there? Just to remind people. All right, and of course, welcome many first-time viewers and listeners this morning, including Johnson Noel. Good morning, Mr. Noel. Nice to have you. Of course, Norris Ferguson, Owen Johnson, Stephen Wilson, Stephen Harper, Annie Bunyan, and Ricardo Samuel. Is that our Ricardo, Richard? Richard, your mic is off.
I said it will have to be. I assume so.
Yeah. Good morning, Ricardo.
So, of course, we want to get the poll results. Of course, Gary Griffith is our guest in about the next 2 to 3 minutes. He's already backstage in studio, so he will be on shortly. So, Abanel, I don't know if you want to get into the poll.
One more to add to the
you got any more,
Ron,
Charles?
yeah, Captain Ron says no.
All right. So I have the poll results for you.
Just in case you weren't sure what our poll was, this is our poll this morning. Do manifestos motivate how you vote?
Mm-hmm. And we had 23 people saying no, 10 said yes. 23 people said no, manifestos do not motivate how they vote, and 10 said yes. All right? So there you have it. Thank you very much for participating in the breakfast poll.
All right, so moving along, we will get straight into our interview with Gary Griffith, the political leader of the National Transformation Alliance. So good morning, Gary Griffith. And thanks
good morning, gentlemen. Good morning.
On the breakfast show. We appreciate you taking the time to speak with us.
My pleasure.
Morning, Mr.
Morning.
Welcome to the best show on radio. You'll find that out soon enough.
Of course.
Well, I see you still have those swords.
Yes, ready for battle. It's on the 28th of April.
Well, you should feel extra special today. Normally, we reserve Holy Thursday for the Archbishop or the Bishop. You understand? So you should feel real special today.
Well, you're from as a St. Mary's College old boy. It's close enough.
Yeah.
Well, the kind of things we hear about what was going on in St. Mary's College, I ain't so sure, you wonder boast about that too.
I would love to speak to you all one day about this. It seems that everybody feels that it's a compliment for you to have been bullied. In St. Mary's College, I used to beat up bullies. And it seems that this thing with bullying, it seems that I remember in St. Mary's College, Richard was there. When they had a haircut, you used to get carpet. When it was your birthday, you're afraid because you're getting clout. We had something called man and ball. You have your football, you touch the ball, everybody kicking you up. Boys would be boys. So I know I have a problem with bullying, definitely. But we have a point now, it seems that if you're strips that somebody is bullying, I think sometimes you need to be a little tough because everybody wants to be in the army or the police or whatever. You need to be a little tough in school, but it seems that if somebody calls you something, you're calling Mr. Speaker being bullied. I think sometimes we need to, there must be a balance of
I agree.
being tough.
I agree. I mean, that's how we grew up long time. You know, you're getting fatigued. I mean,
Even on the cricket field, as soon as your parents give you a haircut, you know you're going to get carpet. Well, Richard, you had a hairstyle like that all the time. You don't get carpet every day.
No, Richard had a whole long hair. Richard had long flow.
Yes, that's right.
I used to have hair, but you're right, Gary. Anytime you got a haircut and you keep the school, it was like, oh God.
Yeah.
Oh God, you had to get
That's how you call bullying. They'll call that bullying.
Yeah,
I actually had an afro, you know.
I don't doubt you.
Anyway, thanks for joining us, Gary. Thanks for joining us.
Pleasure.
So, of course, Gary, I mean, well, first of all, I suppose we could start with how has the campaigning been going? Because I know it's a busy time for politicians heading up to a general election and exhausting time too. How has it been so far for you?
Well, I mean, I can't wait for April 29th. It really has been a tough one. The most difficult thing for a campaign for a party that's not aligned to two major parties is funding. It is really difficult. So when we have online, somebody giving you $500 or $1,000, that is a gift. Other political parties, they're getting checks for $5 and $10 million. And that, I think that is the biggest concern that I have in this whole election campaign, the campaign financing. There's a political party, they have been putting $350 to people in HDC in San Fernando West, telling them not to come out and vote because they know they can't vote for their party. They're giving out refrigerators and stoves like similar to what they did in La Joquita, Talparo in 2020. I mean, and when it is you have that lack of ethics that you are trying to bribe people for a vote because of the amount of money you have, family households are getting $20,000 to vote for their party. When you have that lack of ethics, you're going to go into government in that same manner. And I really would love to challenge the UNC to state that it is not true. State that you have not been giving money to people in a bribe and hope. That I think it is sickening. And the sad thing about it is that they get this money from contractors who, when they were in government, you put a $200 million contract, it really costs $100 million. So the contractor gives you a $50 million in the back end now as a thank you, but also remember me when you get in government. That is the nastiness of the politics.
Is not now almost the reality though? It's strange. I'm hearing you, and I mean I've heard these stories too. Thankfully, I've never experienced it where people almost expect when you go to them now that you come in with something.
Yeah, they actually do this, and they actually say, "Where my money?" And then like my son was giving out flyers, and he said, "Where my money? I want $100, and I'll vote for you." And my son actually told him, "Is that what you are worth? Is that the value of your vote?" And the fellow said, "Well, young Gary, you're right, but I still want money." so and it is sad that some of them, maybe they will accept it and change their vote. Maybe they'll accept it and do like what happened in La Joquita, Talparo. A deputy political leader in the UNC gave away 600 fridge and stove, and they still vote and they still lost a marginal by 2,000 votes. So maybe San Fernando West is heavy with that. I have a candidate there, and it is littered with that type of unethical behavior of just nasty spending of funds, and those funds really and truly indirectly came from the taxpayers because they're the ones who gave the who would have put taxes that allows massive state contracts. So it's a whole nasty recycling. I read, and then there's also another one where gangs are mobilizing. They're paying gangs big money to walk with candidates. There's one in Sangre Grande, and it reminds me so much of what happened in Darby O'Meara in 2010, where massive promises were made for gangs to walk with me, support me, and I will give you a kickback at the end. Kickback, aka life sport. And we're seeing a replica of this same situation happening in this election. And heaven forbid, if a political party operates in that manner, life sport is going to be child's play compared to what we're going to see in 2025 to 2030.
Yeah, I should have.
But Gary, in terms of the NTA, if we could focus on the NTA now, and of course it's a third party. I looked at, we have discussed previously the whole third party dynamic in a Trinidad and Tobago context. And I know you're not going up for all 41 seats. How many seats is the NTA going up for?
Yeah, so it's 17 seats, primarily the Trinidad Martins, 2 Port of Spain, St. Anne's East, then the corridor, East-West corridor, Barataria, San Juan, St. Joseph, Tunapuna, Aruca, Lupino, La Joquita, Talparo, Arima, St. Augustine, Chaguanas East, Toco Sangre Grande, San Fernando West, and Point Fortin. So we are going up for 17 seats, and it is very strategic. we believe that what we have seen in these third parties, whether you want to call them knife and fork party, independent party, vote splitters, call us what you want. There's always room and need for a third party. There will be people who do not want to believe in a PNM till I die and I'm born a UNC and I'll die a UNC. And that is the right of those citizens. There's nothing wrong if 200,000 persons are loyalists to the PNM and UNC. We see it with the Republicans and the Democrats. But how dare you, if there's a third party of persons who want another choice, that a political party is accusing them of vote splitters. You're fast out of place. Those votes don't belong to you. Their concern is that most of these votes are usually aligned to the UNC. The PNM is a very stubborn lot. You see that 250,000, there's a strong bond, and it's either they're with them or they're not with them. And when they hold, in 86, the PNM was at its worst and got 188,000 votes. In 29-12, I think they still got almost 300. That holds. The 350,000 is where it is you have a lot of the previous ONR, NAR, COP voters. And that is why I am pushing heavy to get those persons to understand there's an option here. So for you to be accusing us of stating that we are splitting the votes don't belong to you. If the person doesn't want to vote for you, it's because they don't want to vote for you and they want to vote for a third party, and that is their right.
But what then is the strategy? Because based on the 17 that you just called out for us, 2 of them alone belong to the UNC, which is Chaguanas East and St. Augustine. What then is the strategy for going into the PNM held seats?
Well, and also Sawa Barataria, I think.
All right, so you're called Sawa Barataria. Sorry, I missed that.
It is based on the data that we had from 2007, looking at where we've seen there's a strong support base of those that COP type voters. The closest seat that the COP got in 2007 was Winston Dukran in St. Augustine. He lost by a couple hundred votes to Vassan Barrett. And you can't compare Vassan Barrett to Khadija Amin. So it's chalk and cheese. So St. Augustine is a perfect example. Likewise, in St. Joseph, the UNC and the COP got almost identical number of votes. It caused Kennedy Surat Singh to win. Likewise with Sawa Barataria. So we see that these seats are seats that can be a determining factor to give us some degree of leverage. The 5 in Diego Martin and the West, the UNC has totally abandoned those seats. They have given it to a one-man party whose party headquarters is in his car. That is how, so when the UNC speaks about themselves being a national party, that is no longer so. They are a deep south party. They have totally abandoned the 3 Diego Martins, the Port of Spains, the St. Anne's. They don't see that as being relevant. So it gives us a very strong position now to be the de facto alternate party of the PNM, and which we intend to take of. And then speaking about the Kennedy Suat Singh, I just want to add, I think it is really unfortunate that the media, you all been in the media as well, continue to push an agenda to falsify persons who refer to themselves as political analysts. Shane Mohammed, if it is that the TKR wins the CPL, he's going to find a way to commend the UNC for it. Every single comment that Shane Mohammed has made in this campaign, he has praised the UNC. And the same with Indira Rampersad. And you're using your position as a political analyst to give some degree of independence, but every single thing, it is impossible that every single thing that the UNC says is perfect, and all the other parties it's wrong. And the reason I'm bringing that up is the Kennedy Suat Singh situation. Shane Mohammed has the audacity to state that John Jeremy coming into this is a bombshell. I went to I landed straight from Piarco Airport last night, head straight to Grandi. And I asked 4 people that said anybody between 18 and 25 stand up. Who's John Jeremy? They didn't have a clue. So you are saying that a man who 250,000 new voters since the last time John Jeremy was in public life is a bombshell. And Kennedy Suat Singh. That is equivalent to if Chandra Sharma and Adish Paradigm Nanan decide to join the PNM. Would that be a bombshell? People don't know who. So you have 250,000 new voters since John Jeremy's left public life. And you as a political analyst have the audacity to mislead the country to say that is a bombshell. Nobody knows John Jeremy left public life 15 years ago. How is that a bombshell? So my point is I'm using this as an opportunity to tell the media, stop using these political analysts who have an obvious political agenda. They are already activists fronting as political analysts.
I can't disagree with that at all, because yesterday when we spoke to Dominic Romaine, he and all brought up that point that nobody knows about most of the population, young people don't know about John Jeremy or Kennedy Suat. So you're right. And the analogy of Chandrish, Adish Nanan and the others also too. The people won't know who they are.
Yep.
You know?
Gary, before we get into some of the nitty-gritty of the NT and what they're offering, because I've looked at some of the videos, which are kind of like, they're like manifesto videos. That's what I would call them, because it's given your points of views on certain things, the NT's points of view. Why would, I think a lot of the non-aligned people are cynical and disillusioned about politics, but they need to be motivated and inspired to vote. Why should they vote the NT?
We're just given a choice. We are asking persons to believe, to have trust, to have support in the NTA. We can make Trinidad and Tobago safe again. And it's not just about safety and security. It is about, you see, what we believe is that a manifesto for decades have been nothing more than empty promises and lies. Most political parties, they will put the manifesto that is about new hospitals, new bridges, new buildings, more police stations. And there's no cost-benefit analysis done to ascertain how you're getting revenue to offset that expenditure. So it's either the things in the manifesto will not be implemented, or you're going to be forced to implement it, and you have not found a way to lift revenue to offset that expenditure. So what you're going to do is to either devalue, you're going to get a loan internationally, or you're going to lift taxes, which become a byproduct towards increasing cost of goods and services, a byproduct towards inflation, a byproduct towards unemployment, and a byproduct towards increased crime. So the manifestos have been, the UNC, for example, they came up with 50 things to improve health. And that was going on Google, find 50 ways to improve health. Everything is going to cost about $100 million. So you talk about $5 billion in promises. And yet there was no cost-benefit analysis, no concept of maintenance, repairs, the demand, the training, the logistics, nothing. But you just throw these things out and let people say, wow, yeah, this sounds good. That is not how you run a country. We are putting it in the same way that I was able to transform the police service. If we could have transformed the police service through using principles of good leadership, accountability, management, measurement of performance, we can transform every arm in the public service, and that is what is required. Finding systems for better management. A CEO doesn't take over a business and then tell the employees, we're going to put new buildings and we're going to do this. No, you're going to find ways to reduce expenditure through minimizing wastage, corruption, mismanagement, incompetence, and utilize those funds now to be redirected into now having extra revenue to acquire the things that would be needed, which is what I did with the police service. I didn't get a cent extra from Minister Inwood, but I was able to, for example, reduce $100 million in overtime corruption in the police service. We had 200 police officers saying they were working 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Taking that $100 million, I was able to reopen the police marine branch. I was shut down for decades. The gender-based violence unit, body cameras, teasers, pepper spray, dashboard cameras on the vehicles, GPS tracking on the vehicles, Commissioner's Command Center, over 100 different new units, policies, technology that put an end to kidnapping, home invasion, extortion, whilst not asking for a cent. If that could be done to transform an arm in the public service that was seen as the most corrupt and incompetent in 2018, which was 14%, and in 3 years it went up to 59%, the most liked and supported, and now it is back down to 8%. So it's not the fault of the employees, it's the fault of the employers that build the hierarchy of the police service. Our intention through this roadmap towards transformation is showing that the principles for good governance through proper management is what is required, not boast about new buildings and so forth. May I also add the PNM, for example, in their manifesto in 2020. Their manifesto was one thing. They had the sales pitch. We didn't do too well, but we gave you Gary Griffith. I never thought I'd be a centerfold, but I was the centerfold in the PNM's manifesto. And it probably worked. They said, all right, well, we got Gary Griffith from the PNM, so we'll give them another chance. And so that now probably that worked in that way, but my concept is not a manifesto. Ours is a roadmap towards transformation.
Well, you know, interestingly, because you're talking about resource management, ultimately, in terms of how you achieve or implement whatever it is that you want to do. And just a second, I went there. Some of what you're talking about is the big part of your plank, at least from your videos and stuff that you've let out into the public, is the renewable energy and how you manage renewable energy as the NT. And one of your interesting points, and I can't remember if I saw it in the PNM manifesto that they released yesterday, but it's something that I always wonder, the issue of government buildings, new government buildings being sustainable via renewable energy, and that being integrated into the design and concept of new buildings being built by the government. And the current government is building several new buildings, the Ministry of Social Development, NLCB, and several other buildings that are ongoing. And I always wonder about that. Why don't they include renewable energy as part of the infrastructure development? Now, the NTA is saying that they're going to do that. They're going to bring in renewable energy and integrate it into new government buildings. That you're going to use your universities to promote the study of solar technology and battery maintenance and stuff like that. The renewable industry, you believe there are lots of jobs in the green economy. And you also talked about community mini grids, whereby communities will be more resilient with mini grids in terms of doing electricity. How is that? Is all of this going to be financed purely by resource reallocation? Or are you seeing how you can implement this? Or is this just stuff that you have a vision of and you will see if you can implement it or not, if you will to get into power?
No, I mean, looking at things such as solar panels and so forth, it will decrease the cost of energy. And what we had is not, it wasn't based on ideas. And that is it. That has been the sad thing sometimes with the manifesto. I heard a political leader say on the platform 3 months ago, just tell us the ideas you want and we will put it in the manifesto. A manifesto should not be based on ideas. It must have empirical testing, research methodology, cost benefit analysis. And that's what we did. There were several persons, Mr. Riyad Khan, Tim Timal, and a Strategic Institute of Trinidad and Tobago. They were very instrumental in providing us with the data based on intense research by some of the top experts in different fields, whether it be national security, health, education, the economy. So they did a lot of research to ascertain how it can be done. And again, this is not about us trying to find funds to do this. If it is that we can minimize, the same way it is, as I said, I was able to minimize in the police service. We had 120 buildings. Every building, the lights will be on for the whole night, 24/7. But from 6 p.m., they only stay at the bottom floor. When we started turning off the air conditioning unit and the lights, we were able to save several $1 million per month right there. So there are simple things that can be done. You diminish expenditure whilst not affecting productivity. It can very well be done. It's similar. We had vehicles 3 and 4 times they were refueling. I said, how a vehicle can refuel 4 times for the day? It was corruption. Police officers were padding the slips. We had to use it through technology, making sure that a vehicle cannot be refueled more than once every 2 days. So if we put those things in place, we minimize the wastage, and then we can reallocate the resources to provide. Sometimes you would need capital to start some of these projects, and that is true. But the things that you hear about in other manifestos, you're talking about hundreds of millions of dollars for the type of skyscrapers that they want. That's not what we hear about. One government transformed to another, there should be continuity. We have done this every single time, gentlemen. 2010 came, shut down the OPV, shut down BLIM, shut down SOT, and then they start all over and they're playing catch up. 2015 came, Eddie Dillon replaced me, shut down the rapid response unit, shut down the community comfort patrol, don't use the dormant vessels. That is my point. If the government changes, right, what should happen is that you have a continuation, not just trying to rebrand everything and change everything, and then you're going to have intensified costs, and then with it you're not going to get the returns. So that's how we intend to operate. The government should be run like a business, and businessmen don't operate by just being Vikey and spending hundreds of millions of dollars based on wild ideas.
Yeah. Well, in terms of, I want to get into crime because you're big on crime, and of course, crime I think is the number one issue.
Big on crime fighting, huh?
Crime fighting, and I know crime is one of the number one issues, if not the number one issue, for a lot of citizens across Trinidad and Tobago, and of course, you have a track record for that. And so I want you to get into a sense of how the NTA sees that fight against crime. But before I ask that question, and Wendell may have questions too, the NTA, if you were to win some seats, will become a power broker between two behemoths, because the UNC is going to win some of those seats because, of course, they have loyalists. The PNM is going to obviously win seats because they have loyalists and safe seats, inverted commas. Yeah. Assuming that the NTA wins some crucial seats and is the power broker, have you all, as a policy decision, thought about it, and which party would you support?
Yeah. Well, let me give you the answer right now. It will be based on moral and spiritual values. maybe we will be forced to do exactly what A.N.R. Robinson did. And you will have to remember there was a situation similar to that only once. It was 1818, and the president made a decision based on moral and spiritual values. Do we need to go down that road? Or, so there's that, or do we use this as an opportunity to do what Basio Pandey had asked for 25 years ago, trying to form a government of national unity where for the first time, say it becomes 2021, say for example, I win St. Joseph and it becomes 2021. Do we take this as the opportunity to try to unite the country? This country has been so divided. I mean, I recall when I was the right hand to Basio Pandey, and I'll go in cricket, you'll be seeing Pandey, Manning, Imbert, Carlos John, Yep Ming, Valley, all of them sitting down. There was camaraderie. They were political opponents, but there was a love. Pandey will meet Patrick Manning at the gate at the Prime Minister's residence for every function, walk half a mile. We're not seeing that anymore. Now you have any doubles and coffee and the bitterness and the anger and the venom and the hatred. It is what has divided the country. And they've used politics based on either race, geographical location, religion. It is stink. It is nasty. If it is that I can utilize the election result as an opportunity to try to unite Trinidad and Tobago, I would do so. I think that politics is what has totally divided this country, based not on the politics itself, but the politicians. They have gone out of their way to make it look us versus them. And I think it is unfortunate. I see some of my best friends are from the PNM and the UNC. And in fact, you haven't answered the question yet on who you would. No, I just did. It is going to be based on looking at the composition of both sides and see which political party can be that party that has the capability, the significance to move Trinidad and Tobago forward in tandem with the principles, the ethics, and the moral standards that the NTA has. Or it could very well be using the opportunity to bring in a government of national unity. It's either or.
Gary, as a follow-up to Richard's question.
Well, just a second, I just wanted to remind callers, and well, not callers, listeners and viewers, that you are listening to The Breakfast Show, and we are speaking with Gary Griffith, political leader of the National Tribe.
Yeah, as a follow-up, Gary, to Mr. Griffith, sorry, I got both yesterday for that. As a follow-up to
You can call me Gary. My name is Gary. My parents' name are Gary because my father's name was Gary and we lacked imagination, and my son named Gary. So you can call me Gary.
Okay. As a follow-up to Richard's question, we know that you would have had a somewhat strained relationship with the former Prime Minister. At least it's ended as a somewhat strained relationship. What is your relationship like with the current Prime Minister?
Well, let's go back to the former. I mean, and we were political. Well, we were opponents. There was a bitterness on it, and it had nothing to do with the individual himself. He and I operated in a very professional manner. When he was chair of the National Security Council, I was the Commissioner of Police. We saw the highest reduction in violent crime in 17 years, and the country felt safer. Crime became the number 4 concern behind health, education, and the economy. Unfortunately, as I said, there were about 200 police officers who have serious issues with my actions in how I was dealing with stopping overtime corruption, police officers blackmailing persons for firearms at stations, using police vehicles. They were able to get to whisper in the ears of other politicians, not the Prime Minister, and they took the bait. And that's why after 3 years, all of the lies and so forth, they realized it was a lie. The Stanley John report and everything, not one person has been arrested, charged, or even questioned based on the lie. So they got set up and the country suffered because of it, and now the criminals have taken back over. What I can say is that after all of that, with all of the sparring between the previous Prime Minister and myself, and I said it, and probably people were upset about it and offended, but probably has been my biggest problem in being a politician. I'll speak the truth. He was the first person to have contacted me and my family when my wife was diagnosed with stage 4 cancer. And that showed a degree of class and professionalism, humility and magnitude for the individual. And I said the same thing happened with then Minister Stuart Young, Keith Scotland immediately. He was the first person, one of the first persons to contact us. Amory Brown, Penelope Beckles, Camille Robinson-Regis, Donna Cox, Foster Cummins, Paris Alwari, you name it, almost everyone. And strange enough, not one person in the UNC ever contacted us. And Nicole was a senator in Kamala's government. So even if none of them wanted to, you will think that the person was a prime minister, the person was a senator in your government. But again, it shows class or lack of. Probably if Nicole had a different surname and was living in deep south, it would have been a different. But that happened.
We went there, didn't you?
So the previous prime minister and myself, there's no love lost, but I have the world of respect for him. I was disappointed that he took bait easily from Minister Sleepy, who is the person who gave him the false information. The present prime minister, in the same way that I can state that Kamala Persad-Bissessar was a very good chair of the National Security Council. She gave me the leeway as the minister to implement so many things, from the National Operations Center, the damaged vessels, the Community Comfort Patrol. All of the things that the UNC boasts about is the things that I would have achieved as minister. Nothing before they are accomplished. And she was a good national security chairman at the time. Prime Minister Young, as the Minister of National Security, the man was very good. You notice to be a commissioner of police 2 o'clock in the morning, I scratching my head trying to find out how I could rescue Natalie Pollard or kidnap victims. And this man would be turning up 2 o'clock in the morning. I said, Minister, what you doing here? He had leadership by example. He was there to provide me with the support, the technology, the links with the US. And that's why we put an end to kidnapping. 12 kidnapping we were able to solve. So he was very proactive. So I have the world of respect for him, how he performed as a Minister of National Security with myself as Commissioner. I have the world of respect. You don't have to say this about Kamala, because the first thing UNC will jump and say, you see, he big it up Stuart. She did well as well. The difference, however, is that what Kamala did 15 years ago, does she have the capability to do now? She will take about 45 minutes to move from her car to the platform. So I have no animosity with the PNM or the UNC. I just think that the NTA is the party that is more aligned towards ensuring good governance in Trinidad and Tobago. I would sue the PNM for plagiarism. I think the first word that they have on their manifesto is we intend to transform Trinidad and Tobago. So I see that this transformation thing has become a household word by many political parties. So I will send my bill to the Balize House.
Yeah, I suppose it's a good point to talk about how NTA sees the fight against crime in terms of their vision in Trinidad and Tobago if you were to win and to be the new government.
Yeah, sure. And there's no need to reinvent the wheel. We've been hearing so many fantastic things that political parties want to do. It was all there. The things that we did just 3 years ago, and as Minister of National Security, we have the damaged vessels not being used. To reignite the emergency response patrol, the gender-based violence unit that put a massive dent to deal with abuse of women, elderly, and children. The social media monitoring unit, reactivate the special operation response team, which is I actually heard the Prime Minister speaking of exactly what SWOT did. People had a problem with SWOT because SWOT was taking the fight to the criminals. People did not want that. Up to now, not one SWOT officer has been arrested for abuse of authority, abuse of power. Over 70 other police officers from different units have all been arrested and charged, and they haven't shut them down. So understand what took place wasn't because of the politicians, but because of incompetent senior police officers with an inferiority complex. They shut down and dismantled many things. The E999 unit was one. You call 999. Within 5 minutes, you will have a response, because we had GPS tracking on police vehicles, keeping their area of responsibility to ensure you get a response in less than 5 minutes. We had a police app that was the largest app in the country. We had the online reporting that stopped people having to go to stations. So there were so many things that can be simply reignited by rebooting and reopening. So there's no need for us to put any massive new plan. Things worked. The country felt safer. They saw a rapid response. They felt comfortable with the police. Public trust and confidence, as I said, it moved from 14 to 59%. If we do that with every arm of the public service, I heard that the previous Prime Minister said if you could get 10 Gary Griffiths in cabinet once, the country could be better. You don't need 10 Gary Griffiths, you just need to use the principles that the NTA has for good governance, which is that roadmap towards transformation. If we could have transformed the police service, we can transform every arm of the public service using those same principles of leadership, accountability, management, and measurement of performance.
Well, the Police Service Commission, connecting to the whole issue of police, they're currently reviewing, I think, 11 candidates for the post of police commissioner. They are down to that. Are you one of those candidates?
No, how I could apply to be a police commissioner if I'm a politician? But having said that, I welcome the statement made by the present Prime Minister, the Prime Minister, because it is absolutely ridiculous, the system that is being used. What happened before is that we had international experts, and the international experts are highly qualified persons in law enforcement. That's how Dwayne Gibbs was selected. The politicians got in and they removed Dwayne Gibbs and they brought in Stephen Williams. That was Kamala's standard. They abstained with myself, but they wanted Earl Christopher. When I was selected, I got 82%. I got the highest more than anyone else because I was assessed by international experts. Somebody decided to change it and have the Police Service Commission do the assessment. No one in the Police Service Commission is trained, qualified, or experienced in law enforcement. So you're having these civilians try to assess, and that is why Earl Christopher, who didn't come in the top 20 by the international experts when I first applied, came first now because it is subjective. 50% is all of the different things, how to build a Rubik Cube and all kind of nonsense. And then 50% is an interview. So it just took one person in the PSC to say Earl gets 49 out of 50, everybody gets 20, and Earl comes first. That has to be removed. You cannot have Police Service Commission be the ones who are doing the assessment. They can assess the commissioner after he or she is appointed because there's a list of 75 different things. Delivery of finance, public trust in the police service, public trust in the commissioner, crime statistics. They can do that, but they must not be the ones to be involved in the assessment because they're not trained in it. And I think that has been the biggest problem.
Yeah. I mean, that's a very valid point. But do you think that the Prime Minister, under the current construct, Parliament approves the Commissioner of Police, and of course the Prime Minister can veto and well, whoever's the Prime Minister really controls it in a sense, from a practical point of view. Do you think that we should move to a point that once the selection process is robust and independent, that agency is the one who appoints it and it should be devoid of political?
No, I don't agree with it.
Political arm should always have a say.
I don't agree with it, and this is my opinion. Here in New York City, do you know who selects the commissioner? The mayor. Within 24 hours, he or she selects the commissioner, and it happens in most places in developed cities. Reason being, and this is why it is, there must be some degree of political involvement. You can't have other persons in an independent body select probably the most critical arm for law enforcement, and then if he or she fails, the same public is going to blame the government. So whoever is the government must have some degree of input, because the concern we always have here is that sometimes the government could be so biased that they are not impartial and they will select somebody who will deliberately try to manipulate something to arrest political opponents, which is what even one political party has already earmarked certain individuals to be commissioners of police to help them in their agenda to target political opponents if they move into government. That has been the problem. Immaturity by our politicians. But we can't allow immaturity by our politicians to override the fact that the government's primary task is to provide safety and security for our country. How could you say their task is to provide that, but they must have no say in the person who holds the most powerful position? There must be some degree. They must not have involvement to totally take control. But if you have that independent body of experts, which is what happened with Penn State, KPMG, and so forth, they bring the merit list. The government has to come really good to justify, let this person comes first. I don't want this person because of ABC, XYZ. But the government must have some degree of involvement. That is my personal view on it. Because if things go bad, it's the same country that is going to blame the government, and rightly so.
Yes. I mean, I know you're willing to take some calls, right?
Yeah, sure.
So I mean, we will open up the lines. Wendell, you have any question? I just wanted to ask you though, before Wendell asks his question, which I am doing constantly. Same when how's Nicole? Because I know that must be, it's a stressful thing dealing with health issues.
Yeah,
how are you managing that? Yeah.
Trying to balance it up. She is doing well. Thankfully, the medical facilities we have here in Trinidad and Tobago is second to none. She did the surgery to take out the tumor in the back of her head. The doctors here did an excellent job. I did ask them, I said, when you go in there, there's a part for wives called the arguing part of the brain. If you could try to find it and take it out.
Take it out.
They did find it, but it was in a little safe in a vault and they couldn't get the combination.
You know why? Because it's all over the body and not just in the back here. All over the body.
Apparently. So that didn't work out too well for me. But other than that, she is doing well and she's actually returning tomorrow.
Oh, that's great. That's good.
Great to hear. I just wanted to, I don't know if we have a call, but Dean Allen asked a question about your opinion on what has happened with the current Commissioner of Police.
Pertaining to what in particular?
In particular to the charges that have been, they haven't charged her, But the charges that they proposed to
well, the height of irony, I was being accused of something when I was never a person of interest. I was never a suspect. I was never questioned. And the person who was involved in leading the investigation is now the person who has been charged for as it pertains to firearms. That is the height of irony. It is hoped that it can be dealt with as quickly as possible. Obviously, it is going to affect the image of the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service. It's easy for us to say no one is above the law and so forth, but it's really something that we need to rectify as quickly as possible. My personal view on this is that we have to change this whole system with the Police Complaint Authority. They are toothless bulldog. I have worked closely with David West. He wants to clean up the police service. He cannot, because all it takes is that we have a report, we send it to him, he will send a recommendation, and it will stay right there because himself unto himself. This person is my batch, I will leave that right there. My take on this is that, and we cannot use the PSB, that Professional Standards Bureau has been littered with all types of irregularities, suspicions, accusations. There was an individual who was in charge here. We had to move that individual. This man arrested and charged a government minister and had the audacity to be so arrogant to say, and not tell the commissioner, say, I didn't have to tell you anything. And then he had the audacity now to want to take me to court and the state to court. So the PSB has fallen flat. It has been used as an avenue for senior officers to target persons who might be senior to them or on the same line that you get rid of them. It allows my seniority. What we need is for the Police Complaint Authority to have the same powers similar to the Internal Affairs in the United States, where it is run by civilians, but they handpick police officers so that when there's any investigation, they now have the full authority to investigate and charge accordingly, not investigate and make recommendations to send back to the same police that will put it on file for several months. Look,
guys, so we have some callers coming in, and people can call us at 281-1315 as we are talking with Gary Griffith, which is the political leader of the National Transformation Alliance. So we're taking your calls, and we like it to be as brief as possible so we could get in as many people as possible also. Caller, good morning to you.
Hey, good morning, gentlemen. Good morning, Captain Griffith, Norfolk, Virginia, front and center. You earned the rank. That's why I call you Captain, sir. Hey, I just wanted to let you know, I'm giving you a gem here that you could use in a campaign, and normally people will pay me thousands of dollars for this. When the UNC and PNM leaderships win, TNT, everybody in TNT does not win. Good luck to you, sir. God bless. Talk to you soon.
All right. You have a next call, Sir Charles?
Yeah, it just jumped out. But can I ask a question? As we have Mr. Griffith there, and he just talked about the David West and cleaning up the police service and what he wants to do. And we hear all the political parties talk about the police service and what needs to be done. How do we really get about I feel there is a need to clean up the police service, get the rogue elements out of it, people who are running drug blogs, who are doing all different kinds of things and supporting the crime outside here. How do we really deal with that situation and ask after cleaning up the police service? What needs to be done to actually get it moving?
Well, it's simple things, and it was done. The first thing is when you have a commissioner that's crazy enough to give everyone his phone number, that automatically ensure that every police officer got in line. So you're in a roadblock, you're trying to flirt with a girl and disrespect her, she will call 482 Gary, and next day you're up on the 6th floor. You're trying to bribe somebody, the person will call the commissioner of police. But again, it affected me. 2:00 in the morning, I'll get a call. Mr. Griffith, my wife not here. She gone up with some man. I said, oh Lord Father, that's not what I'll give it this number for.
You got calls like that?
Yeah, people will call me 3:00 in the morning because a car parked just in front of his driveway. So I got the negative state, but it stopped. It assisted me in solving kidnappings and solving crime, stopping crime from taking place. But going back to the police, it ensured that every police officer will keep in track, because their concept is, I can say and do what I want. Well, one report winner, because he knows by the time you write to the Police Complaint Authority, the Police Complaint Authority sends to the commissioner, it runs down to my batch, that will file. The commissioner took full control, leadership by example. The other thing is, when we started putting polygraph testing, we heard about corrupt police officers in the Southwestern Peninsula. I asked a simple question, gentlemen, women, just answer one question on the polygraph. Do you financially benefit from illegal drugs, weapons, or human trafficking? About 20% of the officers in the Southwestern Peninsula refuse to be polygraphed for that. So I send them in the middle of the country, away from there. I can't charge them because you can't charge in polygraph. Drug testing as well, put in undercover officers. There was an informant who actually was working for me, and they were police officers who, because I assigned them based on them controlling drug blocks, they teamed up with this guy to say that how I was involved in trying to stick a gun on him, not realizing he was my informant. The man put a sworn affidavit to confirm what happened. That is how dangerous
that was the episode in Carenage?
Correct, yeah. The man actually wrote the sworn affidavit that there were police officers involved in a conspiracy to have me removed because I took them away from controlling drug blocks in St. James and Four Roads and I can't charge them because there's intelligence and there's evidence. But it was enough for me to say, look, you see the information I have is damning, move him. And by me moving them, and guess what? As soon as I left, they put them all back in the Southwestern Peninsula. They put them back in the drug blocks. They gave them back the vehicles to escort criminal elements. If it is I can be back in a position of authority in some position to clean up the police service, it can be done. It was done.
Gary Griffith, I want to tell you this.
I think we have a caller on the line.
Well, good morning. Go ahead.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. One question is, what are your thoughts on the cooperative? Well, I like the idea of cooperative economy and sustaining communities and getting them back on track. I don't know if you all had a chance in your part, NTA, to explore the idea of cooperatives, for setting up cooperatives to value add, urban spaces. And I've been asking economists about that and other people. What are your thoughts on cooperative development and in that way?
Okay, thanks very much. Dean?
Well, is he speaking about private sector, public sector relationship? I was just trying to clarify exactly where.
I suspect he is, because he is. Yeah.
And
that public spaces and
that can be easily achieved. I mean, I can give you a simple example. Again, going back to the police service, when Gary Griffith formed the I Support Our Service, it's something that was never done before. But there were so many persons in the business community wanting to assist the police, and they were able to do that by just cleaning up the police stations, removing the vehicles, putting seeing about a generator, fixing lights, getting stationery. And there's nothing to say that we're giving you something back in return. So if that could be done, and you started seeing the difference in the police stations because of that cooperation between the private sector and the police service, it can be done in different arms in different communities. But I think what is required is buy-in. The private sector is not going to pump that type of funding and support in the community unless they are fully aware that there's going to be some type of tangible return, even to the private sector, when it involves reducing crime, when it involves asking each person in the private sector, hire 2 persons in this community so that we can reduce unemployment. Just 2 persons. Simple things can be done, but it requires some degree of discipline, coordination, and structure to avoid any degree of corruption.
Yeah. Now, Gary, the worst has been said by some of the people who are now mollycoddling with the current opposition leader, Kamala Persad-Bissessar, Ansel Roger, Jack Warner, Philip Alexander. I mean, even you would have critiqued her and joined her in the last local elections, but thankfully you're not in there anymore. I'm zeroing in on Philip Alexander in particular, because you both of you have also had a running war of words. What do you think of the specter of him becoming a minister in the government if the opposition wins?
Well, I mean, Wendell, my biggest concern again with the UNC that caused our situation to be untenable is the fact that it is not just Philip Alexander. You have seen my style. I mean, I think my biggest problem as a politician is that I will not lie. I will be honest. When it is I exposed life sport, I was in Parliament as a Minister of National Security with the data, and the other 29 MPs are saying long live life sport. And I'm saying, but this thing has been instrumental in killing 40 people. When it is that the police said, Gary, you got somebody contacted you and asked you about something. I said, yes, and I'll speak the truth. I was fired because I refused to lie to protect somebody in the government. So those situations have not changed. The UNC, remember, they abstained from me being Commissioner of Police. They have a problem with persons like myself who will stand firm and not negotiate with criminal elements. When the local government election took place, I thought Kamala had changed her ways and understood that when you play with filthy animals, you will get fleas. When it was Color Me Orange, Hoop of Life, live sport, all of these things. And then they started saying it was the same thing. there was an individual when I was a Minister of National Security in Parliament, working with the Commissioner to get people arrested by me providing legislation. And the next day, an individual will get them released. And he will be sitting down and being sworn in, and then be probably sit down in the National Security Council. People will say, well, it is the right of an attorney to do that. That is like a man in charge of a petting cow in the morning, and then he's in charge of an abattoir in the night. It doesn't work that way. You can't be half pregnant. You can't be trying to get every single gang leader released while you're an attorney in the day, and at night you want to say, well, I'll be now a minister to protect you from the same criminal elements. We have others now who have been involved in opening police stations and giving it to gang leaders, and she now still has a powerful part to play in the UNC. There's one who's romantically involved with several. It is madness. And then you bring in now people like Philip Alexander. When people need to understand that if you vote for the UNC, you are going to accept you want somebody like Philip Alexander. This man has been sued so many times for defamation, and now you are giving him the opportunity to go to Parliament to say the nastiest things about people. This man has spoken about calling women B-word, speaking about a woman was burnt in a fire as a member of Parliament, and all the rest of them should burn, you evil so-and-so, calling people canal kong, latrine rat. And that is who anybody could say that you will vote for a UNC government, because you vote for UNC. You could like UNC, I have nothing against UNC, but you're voting for Philip Alexander to be a minister in a government. And we also have to look, gentlemen, and when it says you select, you have to select not based on talkers. Philip Alexander has never achieved anything. He has no qualification, training, knowledge, or in anything. He has never achieved anything. So, other than the fact that he can say the nastiest things to pull people down to his level. Is that the type of leadership we want? Is that what is going to allow our children to look up and say, I want to be a politician?
Gary,
So
we have
we'll have to
get the UNC perspective on how they rationalize the criticism that are coming regard to certain members that have aligned themselves with the UNC, and hopefully we'll have Dr. Munilal on next week.
But you cannot justify Philip Alexander, because you could justify persons who may have achieved or accomplished. Philip Alexander has never accomplished or achieved anything other than attacking people with the nastiest things. So on what grounds? But because he's a talker, being a snake oil salesman doesn't make you a good politician. That means you're a good talker. So people who get in, they're either doctors, they're military officers, they're attorneys. But in Philip Alexander's case, what has he ever accomplished? What he says he accomplishes is that I said something that caused somebody else to do it. And when he sees something being built, he will say that something should be built and then try to take credit for it. That is not an achiever. And I think we have to be very careful when you bring people like that say the nastiest things to destroy people's character and credibility. That is not the type of person we want in government.
I have a message. So let me read the message from the person said, Mr. Griffith. He said, good morning all. I had admired Mr. Griffith when he was commissioner to a point, but I lost interest and respect when he stated the worst about the women and children who got stuck in Syria. Unfortunately, they made a big mistake, but the children is not to blame. And they quote the statement here for you. They said that they will keep them there and die like dogs in the street. He called
that is a lie. That is a lie. I never said that.
No, Gary has said some things. I don't know that he has.
That is a total lie. In fact, when I was Minister of National Security, I was involved in a clandestine operation to actually extract a mother and 3 children after they found out that their father was involved in ISIS. So that, but Charles, you have to be very careful. You can't be taking quotes from people when there's no such quote. That is a total lie. I was very instrumental.
That's why I said you give the opportunity to rebuff it, because
you can't rebuff something by making a quote of something that's a total lie. I have been working closely with Nafisa Mohammed and stuff when I was Commissioner of Police, Minister of National Security. So I think it is really unfortunate you will take. So suppose somebody take a quote and say Wendell Stephen is a child molester, and you'll say, well, I'm taking a quote. You don't do that, Charles. Come now, man.
Yeah. I call online. Good morning to you.
Bless, good morning. You say that, Mr. Griffith. Oh God, no. I know you know that, but don't say it. I just want to say you all have everybody on their toes this morning. I am so happy that you all have Mr. Griffith on the program. I'm just loving all the outpours that you're bringing to the front. And guys, you all keep up the great work. I just love the different leaders you all are bringing in. And today is epic. I ain't expect nothing better Today is the icing on the cake.
Okay.
So, gentlemen, have a blessed and wonderful weekend. And Mr. Richard, the weekend has begun.
But gentlemen, you do know as well that of all political leaders, I'm the first politician that's been walking around in a short pants, and it has been proven I have the sexiest legs of all politicians. If Paris could wear sleeveless vest, I could wear short pants. So
Caller 9.
Now
Caller, good morning.
we are going to see Paris and Ravi in a short pants. Is that?
Nah, he look like he have bird legs. I don't know why. I never seen him in a short pants.
Hi. Caller, are you there? Good morning.
Yes, good morning again. Norfolk, Virginia here, front and center. Good evening. Hey, on a lighter note, Gary, of all the wines you could find on his side, Terrence the Alsing boy. Again, I just being facetious.
I actually outlined him. I outlined him in his own Terrence dance, by the way.
That's what?
Okay, yeah.
When I was doing the Terrence with him. I know, strange enough, when I did that, the first thing that came out, look, Gary is a PNM because he was doing the Terrence dance with Terrence. And then 5 minutes later, I was hugging up persons in the UNC. I don't know if it is a change to UNC. And then the next day, I was hugging up Prakash. So I don't know, like it's like a war, and you can't high five anybody because you're PNM or UNC or ABC or XYZ. It goes back to how we're so trying to divide the country. We are not enemies. We are political opponents. There's a difference.
Yes, that's what's worrisome about this campaign, in some instances.
Good morning. Good morning. Hello.
Yes, good morning.
Good morning, caller.
Just a simple question from Mr. Griffith. Well, let me first declare my political allegiance to the PNM. If this party wins the government, given a second, third, or fourth chance, would you consider serving as someone in national security? Because I observed the operation when you were there, and to me, you did some good results. And I would honestly want to see you back in that position. And again, once again, my prayers for your wife. I've been following her on Facebook, and I hope that she gets better, and I wish her well, and you and the family hold strong. Take care. Have a great one.
All right. Okay.
Well, I can answer that again. Going back to the Philip Alexander. Philip Alexander said the most disgusting things about my wife, how referring to as my sick wife, attacking my children. If that is who you all want to vote for, well, then go and vote for the Rising Sun or whatever it is. If that is your standard, pertaining to Gary Griffith, I have done nothing other than offering my services to my country. I offered it for 17 years as a military officer, as a national security advisor, as a security minister, as a commissioner of police. Now I'm offering it as a politician. If it is that the country does not want that, I mean, everywhere I've worked, if it is, gentlemen, if it is that high five and shaking hands winning votes, PNM and UNC losing their deposits, because that's how it works. Everybody love you, but they like you. But when it is that they could pass that threshold of God, but Gary as a PNM or my UNC, I can't change. If you can't break that, because both parties start with 200,000, the third party starts with zero. We try to get the 150,000 who are the non-PNM or UNC. If it is that I can break that and get a seat or two, it allows me to be in a position to assist in building a very good government, because we'll have checks and balances for the government. If not, it is not the end of the world for Gary Griffith. I personally believe we will do well in the election, but if we do not win a seat, I will continue to be prepared to offer my service to my country in any way that my country sees fit.
Well, what are your thoughts, Gary, on social media influencers? And are you, in fact, using any in your campaign?
Oh, yeah, but for the right reasons, not we have a political party that have paid trolls, and they are going out in all different WhatsApp groups and so forth, saying the nastiest things about people. Our social media is a very powerful one where we are actually pumping. We would have seen these 1-minute policies of everything: health, education, energy sector, digitalization, all sorts of different things. It's a different type of politics we are showing, of solutions, principles for good governance, and we are using it heavy on social media. Reason being, it's $5,000 for a 45-second extract on television. The UNC have been putting out about 100 per night. So when it is you're looking at, they're spending about $500,000 per night just on one television station. So that's almost $1 million a night they're just putting out. So when they do it for 30 days, they're spending over $40 million just in television live in ads. The third parties, we cannot do that because we didn't have We didn't give a contractor a $50 million contract and then they made a $40 million profit out of it to give you back $20 million to help you do that. So we have to be very careful how it is we spend. Social media is the best avenue, and it is working, but we are using social media to provide solutions, not being used as an avenue to try to destroy and undermine the credibility of others.
Richard, you have a question?
No. I'm just saying that thanks for joining us, Gary. I mean, we went over the time limit by 15 minutes. I don't know if we have any calls waiting or if we can close off the interview, Sir Charles.
No, we don't have any right now.
Right.
Well, we'll give Gary the last words.
Yeah, give me the last word, Gary.
Well, Jeremy, all I ask for all persons, politicians have gone out of their way to make this a very nasty election campaign. It can very well, and hopefully it doesn't become violent. I ask all citizens again to remember there's going to be a day called April the 29th, and there's going to be one prime minister, there's going to be one government. I was thankful that CARICOM will be sending observers there. I was disgusted that a political party would cast aspersions to question the transparency and the independence of CARICOM by stating that they may be linked to a political party. You do that and suppose you become prime minister, how are you going to face that same CARICOM? Because just 3 weeks ago, when CARICOM actually spoke about dealing with illegal firearms, she saw that as a PR gimmick, but you want to work with the same CARICOM if you become prime minister. Thankfully, there's going to be a degree of transparency now, so that come April 29th, you're not going to hear political parties milli-vanillion and blaming it on the rain. Hearing excuses for 5 years after you lose, it affects the country, it affects productivity, it can affect an economy, investment, by questioning the legitimacy of that political party getting in government. So whoever is there, let us give them that support. Hopefully we will have a part to play in it. If not, we will be there to support whoever is in government.
All right. Thank you, Gary.
Thank you so much, Gary Griffith, for joining us on the breakfast show this morning. And of course, maybe we might speak again, maybe just before the elections, and of course, certainly after the elections, to get your point of view on
you notice how we're blue today, right, Gary? You notice how we're blue today?
Yeah, it's looking good. And I'm not the UNC blue. Yellow is the code, but we are blue. Mad people behavior.
I'm sorry, objection to that they should. Oh, they want to wear blue now.
Yeah, boy. Strange things are happening. Say what?
So you see in one place. But thanks so much, Gary, for talking with us this morning.
My pleasure.
Thank you very much, Mr. Griffith. All right. That, of course, was the political leader of the National Transformation Alliance, Gary Griffith II.
Yep. And of course, the weekend has begun, people, and it is a wonderful and glorious long weekend. Today's Holy Thursday.
Guaranteed long weekend in the year.
Yeah, today's Holy Thursday. Tomorrow is Good Friday. Then you have Easter Monday. So it's a wonderful long weekend where people will be doing all sorts of stuff. I don't think that much theater is on this weekend, at least not from the main commercial theater companies. We will be back in terms of RSRR Productions with Married and Mischievous at Cipriani College and the weekend after the general election. So we'll be there on the 3rd and 4th of May at Cipriani College. You should not miss it. We had a fantastic response in San Fernando. I think people were blown away by this play, and they will have understood precisely when you're leaving this play, you will say, okay, I now know why they said it was strictly adult. Trust me, I think Southerners were blown away by the play last week.
I get the feeling now that it have a little nudity in it.
You could think whatever you want. But people who gave the supper, I think the responses online have been fantastic.
Right.
One of your best. Again, RSRR Productions has done it. And so many people are saying it's one of the best. That is to tell you how blown away Southerners were, and they came out.
I need some royalties from your last set of plays. That's what I need. I need royalties. You and Ricardo, I need royalties.
So we'll be on at Cipriani College next, but not next week, the 3rd and 4th of May. We'll be at Cipriani College. So look out for it. Tickets go on sale, I think, from this weekend at all our usual outlets. So you can keep informed with RSRR Productions Theatre on Facebook and Instagram and TikTok. You can find our information there. Anyway, this is where we close off the Power Breakfast Show. But before we do that, You know, we always like to remind you to like and subscribe. Likes are very important when you're watching us, especially on YouTube. I can't emphasize how important likes are because it helps with the algorithm. And also, subscribe. Our goal is 100,000 subscribers. We go big. Either go big or go home. And so, so of course, this is what you should do.
All right. Happy Easter all. One life, live it.
Happy Easter. The most important part of the Christian calendar is the Easter weekend when Christ rose from the dead. And so
I thought you actually had a video of that too, you know.
Celebrate Easter whatever you do it safely, do it with love, and do it with joy. The Breakfast Show will be back on Tuesday next week. Enjoy your weekend. The weekend has begun.
Thank you very much, guys. Enjoy your long weekend, and of course, looking forward to seeing you again on Tuesday. Be safe. Be very, very safe, right? So keep it right here on New Era TT Radio. All right. Well, we have brilliant news because of the interview. So you'll get our next newscast at 12 noon.